Am I to assume woke Hollywood wouldn't touch this pro-American film with a 10-foot pole?
Oh my gosh, they wouldn't spend any money to develop it. They certainly wouldn't film it. They wouldn't distribute it.
Had 3-4 meetings with them over a couple months. Gave them some great projects for television or for series or for movies. They still didn't make the move on it.
Right now, we are all in. If this movie doesn't work, we lose everything. But we've always been there. I believe if you're not all in, you're out.
But they're afraid, oh my gosh, we'll get a backlash from within the Hollywood elite if we do a movie that's got a positive message in it.
That is so inspired. Because he's not I talk about it like somebody else, will not let that flag touch the ground.
I always joke that if I played a radical Islamic pedophile terrorist in a movie, I'd get nominated for an Academy Award.
It's not hard for
him. Conservatives in Hollywood, man, they're starving. As you saw there, John Schneider, formerly of Dukes of Hazzard, Kevin Sorbo, complaining at different points in their lives about the lack of funding for their conservative, good, wholesome family films that they're trying to make. Things about how, libs are coming to steal your flag and rip it up and burn it and then kill your children and then drink their blood. That kind of content, they can't figure out why no one will film these or will fund these things. Well, there's one conservative filmmaker that's found a way around this. It's just they came with some serious consequences. Let's go to this particular story. This was crazy. An attempt to make a right-wing superhero movie has ended in disaster. A right-wing superhero movie with $1 million missing in China and a participant facing a federal indictment. This is already crazy. I wouldn't count on us getting the money back, is what Theodore Beale said. He's a far-right blogger, and he's also known as Vox Day. He admitted to his fans and investors in a video last week that they're just not gonna get this cash back. This isn't how Beale's followers thought their investments would go in 2019 when they started contributing to a fund, a film based on a Confederacy, listen to this, a Confederacy-themed superhero comic book character created by Beale. A trailer promoting the proposed movie Rebels Run featured the character Rebel fighting a global police force hunting down free-thinking conservatives. I tried to find this trailer because I was like, that sounds awesome. Instead, I got this screenshot from it. Let's check that out really fast. Rebels Run. Look at that Confederacy-based superhero looking to take down those darn Union soldiers.
It looks like a stick figure with 3D graphics.
I mean, I guess part of that $1 million funding went to some level of this. But look, there was at least a trailer, so maybe it was made. Let's figure out how they lost this money, because this is the best part about this whole thing. Frequent Tucker Carlson collaborator, again, Scooter Downey signed on to direct this whole thing. Beale's supporters rapidly blew past an initial $750,000 funding goal, ultimately raising more than $1 million. This is a very successful move. Beale's history now of racism could have made it difficult for Rebels Run, which stars a character sometimes depicted as a Confederate flag bustier, to find traditional funding. He has claimed that certain races are more likely to commit violence and called one of his foes in the science fiction dispute, a black author, a half savage. This is the maker of this movie. He's been talking about this is his history. Beale has affiliated himself with the Gamergate movement, which opposes women's suffrage and once described homosexuality as a birth defect. So since Vox Day, that's his other name, since his bigoted ass has been trying to get all this funding and nothing's been happening because they know who he is, he decided to go ahead and trust his fellow conservatives in this whole thing for holding his money. At least they raised it. That was a nice, good, clean fund. Folks that support this type of film maybe want to see it. This is what happened. Given that track record, he instead turned to a Utah-based Ohana Capital Financial. It's a business aimed at customers that would struggle to get money elsewhere. Ohana was the creation of James Wolfgram. Remember that guy's name. He's a self-described cryptocurrency billionaire who posted pictures of sports cars that supposedly belonged to him on social media. It's the oldest trick in the book. But in fact, according to a federal indictment filed last month, Wolfgram's wealth was a sham. Surprise. The sports car pictures, for example, were pulled from other websites. Wolfgram's business also sold what were billed as high-tech cryptocurrency mining rigs. But those too were a hoax, according to prosecutors, with their screens just running on a loop to create the illusion of mines. Also, Wolfgram now faces 4 counts of wire fraud over the Rebel Run money and other aspects of his business. While the film's investors might someday recoup a portion of their money through the legal system, Beale has given up on funding his superhero movie. He took his money and he ran, is what happened. Wow. He had other problems. Wolfgang had problems with some other thing. He owed someone from China, so he took that money and threw it to that, and now they're screwed.
Yeah.
Good job.
You know, I let me go back to one thing really quickly. Okay. When we started this off, right, we were talking about, oh, the conservatives in Hollywood are so mad and they just hate the liberal Hollywood and liberal media. Do you know how many people who are ultra wealthy are Republicans who have also made their money in Hollywood, whether it be acting, directing, what have you? The ultra rich want to stay rich. There's a lot more than you actually think. I feel like this is actually particularly lazy because, you know, sticking with the theme of the last few weeks in conservative media, which is attacking, you know, Jewish people, Mel Gibson is still there. You're telling me the worst of the worst who has gone on the record. There are tapes of this MFer. Even Donald Sterling couldn't survive the tapes. Mel Gibson, tapes on record, being the person he is. He's still getting roles alongside like Kevin Hart. It's amazing to me. So
he was Braveheart, bro. He was Braveheart.
Oh man, he showed so much braveness when he came out against Hasidic Jews. So aside from that, how I feel about this is boohoo. It's sort of like when I saw that video in the airport of that Karen who was crying and the guy who's recording because she yelled at security and yelled at police officers. She's like, "I'm Terry Ann Blues," and the guy recording is like, "Boo-hoo." That's exactly how I feel about this. Insert the DJ Khaled gif of like, you played yourself.
You played yourself.
That's all they did.
This is the thing.
Do I feel bad? No, especially really quick, knowing his history of how he's spoken about race issues, knowing how he's spoken about women in the past, thinking that they should have zero rights like voting. No, don't feel bad for him. 0 out of 10, maybe in the negatives.
This is the thing. I like the free market. Hey, go ahead, find the other funding. I'm glad they raised $1 million. Maybe this could be a cult classic among any of those folks that think that way.
Or maybe they're just in a cult.
Maybe that too. Speaking of that cult, considering they follow Donald Trump, they should realize that just as much as one person is a scammer, if you're looking to like this person, the reason might be is because you're similar to him, because he still can't figure out who it is that screwed him. Listen to this. This is what Beale said. "I strongly suspect that this whole thing was a targeted operation intended to break our community. Bro, your community screwed you." Beale isn't done with the movies just yet, though. In a video to his fans, he told them he's working on a script starring his friend, anti-Semitic former comedian Owen Benjamin, who's been mentioned on the show before.
Let's stick with that theme, shall we?
In this new movie, Beale plans to cast Benjamin, who believes the moon landing was faked, as the head of NASA.
Oh my God, dude, this is so pathetic. It's so pathetic.
But it's the thing, he still thinks this is some kind of coordinated operation that's launched by Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden to screw him over his $1 million film that he just raised money for. Just take this small suggestion.
Yeah.
Your friends are scam artists because you guys follow and worship the biggest scam artist in American history.
Can I tell you something? You know my history, for those who don't. I worked at sports media stations, sports radio stations. I have gone, in locker rooms to get interviews, spoken with many athletes, what have you. There were times when I would screen calls on like a lazy Saturday morning, let's say, dead of winter, like negative 25 degrees, horrible weather, go into the station, screen calls. These, like the novice sports radio caller who thinks he knows everything is as nonsensical as what these guys are saying. Like all I hear in my head is like, yeah, but Rick, the problem is Luol Deng can't play basketball because did you hear about the moon? The moon landing was fake. Did you hear about the moon? Here's another thing, by the way, that Pelosi, and then you just hang up the phone.
You never know.
But unfortunately, you can't do that with these people. They have serious political clout. And And also, and I know we're gonna talk about it a little later with a certain person, but like the conspiracy theories going mainstream. Like, this is a thing. This is a thing now that they're going to believe because they are so far down the well.
Anything that bad's happened is not their fault. No more bootstraps, no more personal responsibility. It's just how it works.